You know, everyone is rushing to build the next big thing with AI, but what if I told you most are skipping the single most important step? Today, we're talking about that step, the foundation. We're going to dig into how you can truly master your AI assets and the data that fuels them, because without this bedrock, trust me, whatever you build is going to come crumbling down.
So let me just ask you something, straight up. Right now, could you list every single AI tool that your company is using? Every department, every team? If you're pausing even for a second, you are definitely not alone. The truth is, most organizations have no idea, and there's a name for this problem. It's called shadow AI, and it's exactly what it sounds like. All those AI tools lurking in the shadows, being used by different teams without IT ever knowing about it. It's basically the Wild West of technology, and it's a massive, massive risk. Okay, so how do we bring some law and order to this Wild West? Well, think of it like this. We're going to build a house from the ground up. First, we have to survey the land. That's the unseen AI architecture. Then we'll pour the concrete foundation by cataloging all our AI tools. After that, we design the inside with a solid data blueprint. Then comes the plumbing and electrical, mastering our data flow. And finally, we'll step back and see exactly why this foundation is so incredibly important for building anything that lasts.
So let's start by surveying the land. The thing about AI is we're not dealing with a nice, flat, predictable piece of property here. Oh no. We're dealing with a really complex, constantly shifting landscape. And that means the old ways of managing things just won't work.
And here's what's so different. An AI solution isn't just one simple app you install. No way. It's more like a whole ecosystem. A single solution can have tons of different owners, multiple machine learning models, all kinds of datasets feeding into it, and even third-party tools all tangled together.
This really lays it out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got your traditional IT asset. It's neat, predictable, one owner, pretty stable. But then you look to the right. AI solutions are this sprawling, dynamic, evolving web of connected systems. And that complexity is precisely why the old rulebook for asset management gets thrown right out the window.
So, how in the world do you get a handle on that chaos? You start by pouring the foundation. This is all about creating a complete inventory of every single AI asset you have. In a lot of the formal governance frameworks, this is what they talk about in Section 111. It is the absolute non-negotiable first step.
Now listen up, because this is probably the most important part. The whole point of doing this isn't to get people in trouble. It's not a witch hunt. The goal is just to see what's out there so you can manage it, secure it, and govern it properly. You have to make it a safe process, otherwise you'll never get the real story.
So where do you even start looking for all this hidden AI? Well, you gotta put on your detective hat. You can use automated tools to scan your networks, for sure, but you also have to do the groundwork. Dig through deployment documents, send out employee surveys, and make them anonymous, that's key, and actually sit down and talk to your teams. Every little clue helps you build that complete picture.
Okay, our foundation is poured. It's solid. Now it's time to work on the blueprints for the inside of the house. And that is all about the data. This next stage, which you can think of as Section 1.12 in our project plan, is about understanding the data lifecycle. We know what tools we have, but what are they actually using?
The starting point is what's called a data inventory. It's pretty much what it sounds like, a master list of all the data your organization has. It answers two simple but vital questions. What data do we have, and where is it?
But just having a list isn't enough. You have to take it to the next level with a data catalog. This is the real master blueprint. It takes that inventory and adds all the important context. It tells you why the data matters to the business, what the terms mean. It connects the dots.
And building one of these is a pretty straightforward four-step journey. First, you plan, figure out what you're trying to achieve. Then, you decide what information you actually need to collect. Next, you populate it, go out and gather all that info. And finally, you publish it, putting it all together in a format people can actually use.
All right, our blueprints are looking good. Now it's time to install the stuff that makes the house actually work, the plumbing and the electrical. For us, that means understanding how data flows, moves, and connects throughout the entire organization.
And to really track that flow, you've got to know the key details for every data set. This table gives you a glimpse of the big ones. Simple stuff, right? Who's responsible for this data? Where does it live? How often does it get updated? And what are the rules for who can see it and use it? Answering these questions is the absolute core of good data governance.
See, data is never just sitting still. It's always on a journey.
And we can map that journey out. Every piece of data has a beginning, a place where it's born. That's the source. From there, it moves on. It goes through a process. This is where it gets cleaned up, analyzed, maybe combined with other data, and transformed. This is where the real action happens.
And finally, that transformed data reaches its destination, its target. That could be another application, a dashboard, a report, or the AI model we're trying to power. Mapping this whole trip from start to finish is something we call data lineage.
And a huge piece of this is remembering that not all data is created equal. You have to classify it based on how sensitive it is. You've got public stuff, like a press release, all the way up to super secret restricted data, like your company's secret sauce. Each of these levels needs totally different security controls to keep it safe.
So we've done it. We've surveyed the land, we've poured the foundation, we've drawn up the blueprints, and we've hooked up the plumbing and electrical. We've built our house. But now we have to ask the most important question of all. Why? Why did we do all of this? Why does this foundation actually matter?
This quote right here, it says everything. It is the absolute golden rule of AI. Your amazing, cutting-edge AI system is only ever going to be as good as the data you feed it. That old saying, garbage in, garbage out? Well, with AI, the stakes have never, ever been higher.
Because when you skip all this foundational work, when you ignore the inventory and the data blueprint, you are quite literally building your house on sand. And you know what that leads to? Biased, unreliable results, major security breaches, and projects that just completely fail, wasting time and money.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. Your organization, right now, is building its future with AI. There's no doubt about that. The only question is, what is it building on? Is it a solid foundation of bedrock, or is it just shifting sand?